Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. I have two amazing individuals here with us today. And we were talking a little bit off camera. I think the main theme of today is talking about springtime. Springtime in the context of business, springtime in the context of relationships and life, while also acknowledging that there's always other seasons. And so I have Dr. Laura and Jerry. So let me make sure I say it right. Laura Shwaluk.
Yes.
And Jerry Kezhaya.
Yeah. Bravo.
Oh, I'm good.
You are. We did not even practice that.
No.
Woot, woot.
And Laura and Jerry and I met at Wizard Academy. Actually, look what water bottle I have.
Yay, Wizard.
Wizard Academy in Austin, Texas this last year. And they interviewed me in their podcast as well. And they are very successful, very tenured business owners and relationshipers. And we're going to have a juicy conversation. Let me read their bio and then we're going to get into it.
A relationshipper. I like that. Hurt my head for a minute. What did that mean? Okay.
We get to make up our own words as we go. It's springtime.
Why not?
Okay, so the multi-million-dollar express exterior car wash business and seven-figure chiropractor business, health and fitness, have been sold, it says. Currently, they still own and operate the auto shop. Pretty much the gist of what I want you to hear from their bio is that they live in Texas with a 6,000 square foot home paid for with cash, and business builders mentor and mastermind, which you're going to learn a little bit about today, which is their coaching and mentoring group. They quickly grew business builders to six figures in just 2 years, teaching business owners how to own a business that gives true freedom. It says, so if you're sick and tired of marketing that doesn't work, lackluster sales, and inadequate revenue, then join with Jerry and Laura. You're going to learn more about that. And the big thing that is so impressive is that Jerry and Laura have done more than make a lot of money. They've discovered how to create real freedom, okay? Taking an impressive 4 to 5 months off a year, every year for the last 7 years, with one business that would be incredible. Multiply that by 6 businesses. And I'm sure we will all agree it makes sense to pay attention to every word that they have to say. So welcome, Jerry and Laura. Anything else that you want to add regarding what it is that you do in the world, who you are, how you serve, who you serve?
Wow. That's a lot of questions all rolled into one, Maraya. How do we do that?
Give one answer.
You know what you do? You have fun. That's what you get to do. You get to have fun. And whoever's willing to, as I told Laura years ago when we first started dating and we were talking about the permanency of marriage, I said, hey, I'll promise you 2 things. It'll never be boring. and we'll have a lot of fun together. I can promise you that. And I think I've held true to that for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And
now there are moments. I mean, we are a couple.
Yeah, we're a couple. We're going to leave the rest of that word out of there, but we're a couple of crazy kids is what it is.
Couple knuckleheads.
Right? And we just figured out, we dialed it in and we figured out how to have fun and keep it light most of the time. You know, I've heard it said many times before, how did you guys make it work? Well, there's never been a time when we were both out of love at the same time. I don't know that that's accurate. I've heard that said. I disagree with it because I've never not loved my wife. She's never not loved me. And we realized that our relationship, just like everything else that you have in your world that's worth having, requires a little bit of work.
Yeah.
You know, I
Is that
love
fair to
that you
say?
say that. Oh, and I love that you say that. My grandparents were married more than 70 years.
Mm.
And the piece of advice that they always said to me, and they said, you know, there's going to be seasons to any relationship, but
Hmm.
they said we never both were ready to throw in the towel at the same time.
Yep.
And, you know,
Yep.
of course, there were moments that were hard. And I imagine it's the same with business, moments where it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I can keep doing this, especially if you're crazy enough to be a business owner or an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
There are
Laura,
so there are
multiply that times 8 companies.
yeah.
Now it really just means I got screws missing up here. That's what.
Laura, what were you going to say?
we come across a lot of business owners that the thought in their head is maybe I should just shut it down. Or maybe I should just sell it. I just want to sell it and be done with this thing. Or maybe I should just quit and go get a job or something like it's like, you know what? I just don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I should do something else. And that also is a season. And that is the season just before spring. And it's such
Hmm.
a cool time. I know that it can feel like you're bogged down, like weighted down, like snow weighs like, or a blanket weighs people down. But that is also a really good time to dig in and do things just before
Yeah.
spring.
I've definitely
Right.
had those moments where I'll catch myself going, God, it would be so much easier just to be employed,
Yeah.
just to
I
go
think we've all
clock in,
said that,
clock
right?
out.
Every business owner.
We've all
Yeah.
said
But
that.
but then I think, okay, now someone else is going to own my time. You know,
Yeah.
I said this to Laura and Jerry beforehand. I'm sitting here doing a podcast interview. My 6-year-old is right over here at the side of the office. She's home from school because she was vomiting all night. So yes, I've not had sleep and I'm good to go. But, you know, I didn't necessarily need to call in. And I love that I can be present as a mom and she's got her bucket. And if she needs me, I'm here. Hopefully, y'all won't have to listen to it. But those little moments are moments where I go, no, I don't want to just clock in and clock out and be employed.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much more freedom in so many more ways than just time, finances. You get to develop who you are in your business. You
Hmm.
get to
After
develop your
40,
values.
after 43 years of owning my own company, I can promise you, I am totally and completely unemployable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely unemployable, right? Yeah, no.
And off camera, what I was hearing is it's this beautiful time of springtime where both of you are just really loving your life. The farm there in Texas and the flowers and the smells and the guests that you're having on the property, but also that 43-year-old business is booming right now. Springtime in business. I would love to hear a little bit more if you just paint the picture of what does the life look like of individuals that run many businesses? It sounds like many businesses that are seven-figure businesses with time freedom.
So that's a beautiful segue into the conversation that most entrepreneurs would love to have, right? The interesting let me just back up a little bit because sometimes people think, oh, this guy owns an auto repair shop. Why should I listen to him? What has he got to say that's going to even like I don't care about cars. Yeah, I never talk about cars. I never talk about cars. Matter of fact, let me be really crystal clear. The average repair shop in the United States of America, whether it's in Massachusetts down to Miami or Seattle up to or down to San Diego, okay, the average shop does $350,000 a year in total revenue for the year. 350 for the whole year. Our goal this year at my company is 1 million per month with one shop.
That's
That's
slightly different.
I mean, come on. I started the company in 1981. We broke $1 million, I think, in 1990. Took me a couple of years to figure out how to do it, and then we've never looked back in all these years. Right? We continue to grow the company. We've literally learned the formula of business, and then the purpose of owning the other companies was, of course, to verify and validate the formula to make sure that it worked in other industries. Okay, so I was listening to a friend of mine introduce me to someone who didn't know me, and he said, "I want to introduce you to my friend Jerry. He is a business owner who happens to also own an auto repair shop." And it was like,
Mhm.
that's the best way you can think about it. It's one company that we happen to own. It's a very good business. It's a profitable business. It's the business I started in. I started working on cars in the driveway of my house 43 years ago and turned it into this beautiful systemized company that we're operating today.
Mhm.
How do we do it? You hire good people, pay them what they're worth, let them do their job, stay the heck out of their way, and check in frequently.
Mm.
Those are the five simple steps. There's a lot more to it than that,
Yeah.
but that's
Check in, like inspect what you expect.
yes. Check
That's
in
check in.
frequently means inspect what you expect, and you must hold people accountable. Even
Yeah.
when you hear, oh, but Jerry, my business is different. You don't understand. Oh, my my customers are different. No, they're not. Stop it. That's the story that you tell yourself that goes in between your ears, and unfortunately, you are the easiest person in your world to lie to,
Hmm.
right? A
Yeah.
lot of
So
times,
go ahead.
go ahead. You were going to say,
Well, I'm just curious when we hear that you're in multiple industries, for those that are listening, I would love, Laura, you come from health as a chiropractor.
Mhm.
Yes, we've already heard that there's a mastermind. So there's this system in place that you guys have a track record and a proven track record. And I'm hearing inspect and expect and accountability. What are the other industries that the two of you are currently in for those that are listening so that I imagine it will help them lean in even more?
so we have coaching and mentoring. That's this one here behind us,
Mm-hmm.
bbmmusa.com. We were in the car wash business,
Mm-hmm.
express car wash, multi-million-dollar car wash businesses. Um, we have a little group called Texas Wine Posse, which more than anything else, it's a hobby that's gotten way out of control to the tune of I personally became a level two sommelier, and then Laura and I both became level one whiskey somms. Um, which is a travel group where we travel around the world chasing grapes. And we have all kinds of wine tchotchkes and whatnot. I've gone to Napa and literally picked the grapes, blended my own Cabernet as well as a Sauv Blanc. We have our own label. Um, golly, trying to remember what else I've got going on in any
Commercial real
given.
estate.
Oh yeah, good God. Commercial real estate. I've been in the commercial real estate world since 92. That's been very, very good to us. Um, I'm missing something else, Doc, and forgive me. I'm
Retreats. It sounds like you guys also facilitate some version of retreat.
At the ranch. So let's just talk a little bit about the ranch. Yeah, the home is big and the patio is amazing. The view is wow. It's 155 and a half acres, and it's way out in the middle of nowhere. We don't even have mail delivered. Mail doesn't even go there. So it's definitely a retreat. It's a place to get away. It's a very spiritual place. And so that's also one of the things that we've been really enjoying recently, and having people come over just sometimes for a visit and sometimes to kind of dig deep into what's going on in their lives and who they are, where they want to go, what's happening with their business, their personal relationships, their relationship to themselves, their relationship to God. We've
Hmm.
been talking a lot about that.
there's a lot of digging deep that happens at the ranch.
It
Really.
just it unfolds. It's not painful. It unfolds because there's so much space to do that in. When there's 3 or 4 people on 100 and call it 155 acres, um, there's a lot of introspection that's available.
Yeah. And who are the people that will generally come on the land and do these retreats? Are they mainly clients of yours in the mastermind or coaching?
They're all business owners. They're all
Hmm.
business owners. Very rarely do employees come. I don't want to offend anyone, but employees are not always up to how can I be bigger? How can I be better? How can I make my dreams really come true? Because the dreams of an entrepreneur involve the dreams of your employees, your family, your community. So it's there's just thinking a little bit bigger than the company that one might work for.
Hmm. Hmm. And if you go back 40 years ago,
Which one of
did
us?
both of you, do you think that you both individually had an intention to live a spectacular life, to be entrepreneurs, to intend and expect to live a wealthy existence with time freedom? Was that always like just a knowing that it was inevitable?
I would say yes.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
without hesitation, without question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing when I sit and I look back at the choices I've made in my lifetime. It all centers around and has centered around where I'm at today. It's that has been the ultimate goal, the focus is that everything I've done has made it so I okay, here's Mariah, here's what I used to tell my wife and what I tell our coaching clients and anyone that will listen is I'm willing to do today what others won't so that tomorrow I can do what others can't,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And that has been my mantra for the last 25, 30 years. I'm willing to do today what others won't so tomorrow I can do what others can't. And it's I was chatting with a friend of mine 2 years ago when we bought the ranch, and he said, "Wow, I didn't know that you sold your Plano house." I said, "I didn't." And Plano's a city here in Texas. It's north of Dallas. I said, "I didn't." He says, "You have both houses?" I says, "Yeah." "How do you do that?" I'm. What's the question? I mean, the question is, I have a house in the city. I have a ranch. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. He just looked at me like he could not imagine, like he could run it in, you could see the numbers going in his head, right? Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, electric bills, all the stuff going on. And he just looked at me and went, wow, okay. Because it clicked, you know what I mean? And it's just I'm able to do today what others can't because for years I was doing what others wouldn't, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. And so, what are some of those examples as business owners and as you coach other business owners to do the things that others won't? What are some of those actual steps, actual things to do?
The very first thing is know who you're getting advice from.
Mm,
Know for sure that they're giving you the straight, they don't have skin in your game. Okay. Years ago, when the economy took a tank, uh, let me tell you, I was $5 million not in debt, upside down. If you sold all my business and all my commercial real estate, I was still $5 million shy. Okay. Let that soak in for a minute. And my banker called me into his office. He goes, I need to talk to you. I said, okay. What do you want to talk about? He goes, I think you need to declare. I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, declare what? What do you want me to declare? Because I had no concept, right? I'm living in my own little world. And he goes, you need to declare bankruptcy. I said, bankruptcy? Why would you say that? Have I ever missed a payment? Well, no. Have I ever been late on a payment? No, but we don't know where you're getting your money. I don't give a rip what you know or don't know. As long as I'm paying, you should. Turned out the banker had a buyer set up for my largest piece of commercial real estate, and he would have made a huge commission on it had I declared.
Huh.
And I told him, I said, dude, you know what? I would have to walk away from everything I've spent my life building, and I'm not willing to do that. So
Hmm.
two things in that really quick story, two things. Number one, know who's giving you advice and make sure that they know that they're on your side. And number two, never give up. The
Hmm.
difference between a winner and a loser is the winner tried one more time. The winner didn't quit. You've heard it said, doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up that makes the difference. Well, as an entrepreneur over almost 45 years, I can tell you, I've been knocked on my keister a whole bunch. And for some reason, I grab my lapels and I pull myself up and I go, okay, let's hit it again. Right? Just like a boxer in the ring. You,
With
you, you
that big
can't,
smile.
you have to. I mean, come on. People would say to me, Mariah, they call me, how you doing? I'd look around, I go, man, I'm not bruised, I'm not bleeding. I got food in my belly. I had a roof over my head. No one's shooting at me. No bombs going off. I'm amazing.
Hmm.
And that's just the attitude, right? Uh, you're here to do it one more day. Let's do it one more day and see what happens at the end of this day. And oh, by the way, look at this. I got new information today. I'm going to try it a little bit differently. And I'm going to see if that one works better. And
Yeah,
again, it comes down to making sure that the people giving you advice are giving you the best advice for you.
I love it. Um, Laura, I'm curious what you would add to that.
I don't know that I would add, Jerry is such a good storyteller. I'm kind of like the bullet points. So what I would add is really to reiterate, not giving up. There are times, there are days when you might question yourself. We all question ourselves. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Is this really going to work? You're the one that gets to decide. You're the one that gets to choose. And like Jerry said earlier, it's about hiring the right people. That is
Hmm.
so very important. If you don't hire the right people, then you could have a constant winter and you don't have spring.
Yeah, yeah.
So those are the main things. And then there's some of the not so much doing things, but ways of being. Ways of being, like being in integrity, your
Mm.
core values, being resilient. That's one of the things that is amazing about most entrepreneurs is that they're very resilient. Being optimistic while still being realistic. It's not so much about the doing sometimes, it's about the being, because the doing comes out of who you be and it comes out of your thoughts. It's like, okay, what I think about I bring about. You've heard these probably before. What
Yeah.
you focus on expands. And it's like, okay, what am I going to focus on today? What's the main thing that I'm going to focus on today? And make sure you get that done.
Hmm. I
It's the
love that
determination.
I love that you're bringing this up. It was actually I'd written down that as the next question to dig into tactic
Mm.
versus the internal work.
You
And
want
I'm
quick,
hearing,
you want an easy tactic?
yeah, sure.
Get a to-do list. Write down all the things you have to do. All of them.
All the things that worry you, concern you, freak you out, bad case scenario, all that stuff. Write it all down. Take
Yeah.
15 minutes, just write it all down.
And so
Pick out the three most important and throw the rest of it away.
hmm hmm And so the context of this conversation is that those that succeed are the ones that simply do the things that others won't do. And so I'm
Yep.
hearing don't give
Or
up. I-
or
I'm
don't know to
hearing
do. Yeah.
or
So
don't know what to do. Right. I'm hearing,
one one of
Let
the
her
most
finish this.
important.
Let her finish the
yeah,
list, Jerry.
Well, I want to just add this, okay?
yeah,
It's because
yeah.
it's important. One of the most important things to listen. When I said write everything down and then pick the three and throw the rest away, one of the
Hmm.
most important things about successful people is they know when to say no.
Hmm.
Don't do something is more important most of the time than what it is you're doing.
Yeah. So it's don't give up. It's doing the internal game, the focus on who I be and my integrity and my core values. It's paying attention to who am I asking advice from. One of the quotes I love, it's from Lovey Ajayi Jones in Professional Troublemaker. She says, "Stop asking people for directions to places they haven't been."
Mm,
And I'm also hearing from you, it's not just places they haven't been, but understanding what's their incentive, what's their objective. Are they in my court? And knowing when to say no. And then there's a lot around hiring. I would love it if we could dig in a little bit, if you're open to going into kind of coaching moments for the business owners that are listening. We've all had those moments where I can think of a time where I hired who I thought was going to be the most spectacular hire and it did not go well. And I have
us too.
others.
We've been there.
Yeah. And
Oh
and
my
I
God.
also, I mean, Aaliyah, if you're listening to this, my like secondhand woman, she plays ops. She started as a VA at 10 hours a week, and she has been with me, my ride or die, for now 5, 6 years. And it's spectacular and it continues to grow. And I think often, what is it that has worked so well in this scenario? But I'm curious from you guys, what if you're going to hire well, what does that look like?
So to preface that, Laura and I wrote a book about hiring superstars
Okay.
And I don't mean celebrities. We mean like spectacular people for your business.
like Aaliyah, your ride or
Right.
die,
Yeah.
right? She's a superstar for you. Well, we've actually wrote a book on it. It's pretty simple. Um, so they did a, I don't remember if you call it a survey or what, but they hired detectives, police detectives to interview people. Now think about this. The detectives supposed to spend their career interviewing people to figure out crimes, right? They would be considered professional interviewers. During their interviewing for job applicants, they were wrong more than 50% of the time.
Huh.
Okay. These are professionals. As a small business owner, how often do you interview? Once a year, maybe? The chances of you getting it right are statistically impossible.
Mhm.
So you have to have the proper tools. You have to have
Systems.
the proper systems in place to make sure that the people you're hiring actually will end up being a good fit for you. And we
Mhm.
use a number of documented tools. One is the Colby, another one is the Orion, another is, um, forgive me, Doc, I just went
The
brain dead.
disc, you mean the disc profile
Yes,
or?
disc surveys.
And then
But we
there's
have
the process itself of the usual job description, job hiring process that makes a big difference. And Jerry, was there something else you were going to say? Because if not, I'm going to jump in here.
good jump in, girl, both feet.
Okay, all right. There are certain things that are definite clues as to whether somebody's going to be great or not, and a lot of it has to do with attitude. I was talking with our general manager today, and just he went into the kitchen to get some ice, and I was munching on some fruit before this call because I was feeling a bit peckish. And he said, "You know what? I think that one of the most important things that we need to take note of when hiring someone is how fast they walk." And I looked at him and I said, "You know what? You're right." He said, "There was a study done on how fast someone walks that will indicate how far they go in life." And he said, "There are some people around here that just don't walk very fast. And you know what? I don't think they're going to be here very long with all the changes we have going on." And I said, "You know what? There are no sacred cows, including me. So let's go." We both we're both very fast at walking. So it's attitude. I use that as an example. Don't use that as your hiring system, but it's
Especially
Wait, wait, wait,
virtually.
yeah,
wait
I
a
can
minute.
imagine doing an interview and say, okay, walk in some circles, please.
yeah.
Are you guys saying I'm about to be fired? What is that? How does
Yeah,
that
I know.
work?
Yes.
I know. I'm not a fast walker either. I was like, oh, shucks.
So it's really about where does somebody want to go in their life? And that's a question that we
Mhm.
ask in our interview is, what do you see happening in your life? Do you see yourself owning your own business? Do you see yourself what do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? If they can't answer, they may not be the right person, especially for upper level positions. Lower level positions, they see themselves just like there's one lady, she's like, I just want to greet people every day and I just want to do my best for them every day. And it's like, you know what? You are right. And she worked out perfectly for me because she never wanted to change jobs. She was always just a smile on her face when anyone walked in the door. But that was her attitude. Those are just a
Mhm.
couple of examples.
And I'm also curious. I coached with Kelly Roach for a year, and she would often talk about intrapreneurs
Mm.
versus entrepreneurs. And this kind of double edged sword when we bring someone in who has big dreams and has big vision. Part of the concern is, okay, I'm going to spend all this time training and pruning and lifting them up, and then they take that and leave to go run their own thing versus staying as an intrapreneur within the organization and growing together. And I believe the universe is abundant. I don't want to ever make decisions from a scarcity mindset, but I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts on that for someone who is really driven and wants to run their own business and wants to be successful. Is there ever concern that you're going to train them and hire them and bring them up to a VP level only for them to leave and take the training and the SOPs off in their own business?
And your customers.
Well, there's a number of ways to look at it. Okay. First of all, depending on the business, depending on how the infrastructure is set up. For example, in the car wash business, in the automotive repair business, in the commercial real estate business, we never teach anyone how to do everything.
Mhm.
We go very deep teaching them how to do their particular job. Now, if you have a superstar who really wants to do great things and you want to hang on to them, uh, you pay them more money than they could make if they started their own company. And you
Mhm.
give them a partnership position or a very senior management type position. In the old days, we used to call it golden handcuffs, right? You throw enough money at them, and why would they leave? Our general manager at the shop, honest to God, 2 weeks ago, we were having the conversation. I said, why don't you buy this place from me? Or when will you buy this place from me? He said, when you're in the grave, sir. I said, why? He goes, I'm having too much fun and I'm making too much money for me to want to be an owner right now.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
that's, I mean, that's one of the ways that it works for us, right? Hire good people, pay them what they're worth, let them do their job. Right? We're not micromanaging anything, right? And you just check in. Like I check in every day with him. Hey, dude, what do you need from me? How do I make your life easier? What do we need to do to make it better here? And he gives me a list, and he twinkles his nose, or I twinkle my nose, and poof, it's there the next day, right? I mean, he's like, I couldn't dream of a better situation than this. Well, why would he leave?
Yeah.
And yet there are times when it still happens. You
Yeah.
do train them and they do leave and they take other employees, they take your customers, they take equipment, that
Oh,
it's you can't live your life thinking that, oh, I can't do that because what if they leave and take all my, what, you have to live your life with your dreams. And if you see that somebody is starting to go astray, you just cut them loose as quickly as possible.
the
Yeah.
other, the other thing I want to throw in is if you don't train them to be the best and they stay mediocre, but they stay with you, what have you won?
Totally.
Where do
Totally.
my God, how are they treating your customers? How are they treating their business? They're just mediocre and they had the potential to be great. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think you're really doing yourself as well as the employee, as well as your company and customers, a huge disservice.
Yeah.
So train
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Let's a rising tide lifts all boats, man. Let's just make everybody up to here, to the best you can be.
I love that quote. I use it often. And you mentioned the Colby, you mentioned the disc, though, Ryan. So you're doing multiple personality tests for each hire?
Yes. It's very
Well,
expensive to make a bad hire.
yeah.
Yeah.
And each of
It's
those says something different about the person. Like the
Mhm.
Colby is how do they actually dig in and do something? What are their gifts of how are they going to fit into this position? As opposed to the disc, which tells, different things. And then there's the
Myers-Briggs. My,
Well, you
Myers-Briggs,
do Myers-Briggs too. Yeah.
absolutely.
so it's and because this way you have a full picture of someone. And let's just say here's a hack, if you will. You have an amazing person in this particular position. Do all those tests on that person. And then when you're hiring, you're looking for somebody, you're finding somebody who's going to fit exactly in that position.
Yeah.
Like it's such an amazing thing. You want specific types of people in specific jobs, and they will stay there forever and they will love it.
Hmm. You know who
So,
I first found out about the Colby through is Lee Richter.
oh
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I like Lee.
we were with Lee in Austin, and then we spent New Year's Eve down with her at her home in the Bay Area. And she knew. She said it because I was there with my husband. She picked it. I don't remember what my Colby was, but she knew exactly what mine was and my husband was. She says, "You have to do these tests." We did them, and she was spot on. She was
Yeah.
describing what that meant, and in the midst of our relationship dynamics, it sounds like the Colby says a lot about how people interact with one another.
Yeah, and
And
it
life and everything in life.
Hmm.
it does. And remember, I mean, I'd like people to remember that when you're hiring, I mean, they've done a bad hire costs you anywhere from 2 to 5 times the annual salary of the employee. So if you have $100,000 a year employee, you could cost yourself $500,000
Yeah.
by being cheap and not running the proper testing, right? And at the same time, when you do test people and you find out, oh wow, we all work together. This is doing really well. I have people that have worked for. So in one of the companies, the average turnover rate is every 18 months. And I have a technician who's been with me for 29 years,
Hmm.
right? Because
Hmm.
he tested out to fit in perfectly with this career path.
Yeah.
Everybody we have, they're long-term people because we test them. So we don't have to hire as often, and yet we continuously run advertisements and we are interviewing at least once a week,
Continuously.
continuously.
Yeah. And so then it's always springtime in the hiring process.
Well, I mean, it sounds terrible, but your employees are like, what position are they interviewing for? I'll let you know. Let's find out how they test,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And they may come in for a sales position, and they'll really not fit in that they won't test out for that, but maybe they'll be in a management position, and then we'll
Mhm.
proceed differently, right? But it's
Mhm.
always interesting when your employees are who's in the office today.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. I think it'd be fun to talk a little bit about the mastermind itself and, why do people join the mastermind and what is it? Before we go there, anything else to describe what springtime looks like and feels like for the two of you right now in your relationship, in your days, in your life, in your home, in your business? Um, for those that are longing for spring, maybe they're currently feeling stuck in their, so to speak, winter and having those days where they maybe just want to throw in the towel or feeling distraught or they've just been told that they should claim bankruptcy. Can you give us some hope? What else is going on in springtime?
Spring often has a bit of upheaval. There's a lot of change in the air. There's a lot of uh freak
Yep.
outishness. I made up
Yep.
that word, freak outishness. It's like, oh, what if we do that? Or like the feeling like you're on a roller coaster. And because there's a lot of things happening all at the same time. And there's some stuff that's coming to the surface that might not be very good. It might be a bit ugly. For some people, it's a tax burden. For other, well, this is kind of coming into tax season here. So, a tax burden, or it's an employee that sees greener grass on the other side of the fence. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and you get home at the end of the day and it's like, oh, what, like that was that 3 days today? I mean, I swear that was a 3 day week already, and today's only Monday. You got to be kidding me. So that's often what spring will feel like. And there's new things that are emerging and new ideas. And sometimes there's some bright, shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, we could do that, and we could do this, and we could do that. Well, just keep the main thing until you don't have to focus on the main thing. You have other people focusing and growing that main thing.
Squirrel.
Well, I'll tell you, as a newer business owner, there are a lot of squirrels. I mean,
Mm.
it is overwhelming how often something is being offered to me. There's some new mastermind to join. There's some new coach to hire. There's some new funnel builder or business builder, or all the emails with even people just saying I can up level your podcast. I mean, the inundation of the squirrels that I could follow feel pretty big.
And this
Bright,
is why
shiny syndromes. Yep.
yeah,
Bright,
this
shiny
is
object syndrome.
why
Yeah.
it's so important to have your core values and your core vision, like at the North Star. When you
Hmm.
have it north, it's like, okay, for example, we changed software. Actually, yesterday was our go live date of this software. There were certain things that it had to have. We had to be able to have specific customer history, vehicle history. We had to have the ability to create an estimate for the client where they could really see it and have full transparency of their vehicle, like pictures, videos. This is your car. If you want to come actually look at it, here, come down, we'll show you. But these are the pictures. This is the video. This is what's happening with it. This is what we see. This is what's going on. Short-term safety items that are an absolute must. They need your attention right now. These are things that are coming down the pipe, what to expect.
Yep.
So these are like core things. And then it also had to have the ability to contact and make it seamless for the client to interact with us. Because people drop their car off, we give them the ride to work, or we give them a loaner, and they're in their office or they're at home, they're doing things. So we had to make it very seamless for them to be able to communicate with us, like as if they were here or as if we were there with them.
Hmm.
And then following up, because like auto repair doesn't happen on your schedule usually. We try to make that as seamless as possible as well. So our new system had to have the CRM already built in rather than integrated, and so that it would work for the customer and be so easy that there were no barriers for them. If there's already a barrier because it's a pain in the butt to, take your car in, it's your time, you got to schedule, no one really likes to go, kind of like, other doctor visits and whatnot. But there were core things that we knew we had to have. And when you have your core values, you have your core vision, your core requirements, bright, shiny objects just completely fall away. One of our clients that we had been coaching for a few years, Jerry and I kept saying to him, you must get focused. You must focus on the main thing in your business. And when he finally decided, that's another really key thing to do, is to decide that he was going to earn a certain amount in that business and a certain time frame. All that bright, shiny other stuff, all that other stuff that was taking away his focus, it fell away. It just completely fell away. And one day I asked him, I was like, hey, how's sailing? He's like, you know what? I haven't sailed in months. It just kind of fell away. That's not what I'm focused on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So to have your North Star, your core dream, if you will, and your core vision, as well as your core values, those those will help you in spring. Those will help you a lot in spring, and those will help you a lot in hiring and especially in firing.
I want to put in a plug while you're saying this. There is an amazing woman. Her name's Bessie Graham. She's out of Australia. She's done amazing things, but she's just finished developing something called the Jasper Blueprint. It's a
Mhm.
book, it's a system, it's a program, and it's specifically on this topic. She's a former client, and she took me through the Jasper Blueprint just as a prototype. And it was so phenomenal to really dig in and get clear on core values based on origin story, based on
Mhm.
lifestyle, based on customer segments. And yeah, it's for those of you listening, I'll have to bring Bessie in and do a podcast interview, or I can also introduce her to the two of you. She's a lovely woman and she's done amazing work in the world. So, yes, those core values. And what I hear loud and clear is when the ball gets rolling fast, let's hope that the foundation is solid.
Mm. Make it solid.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
yeah, where
Yeah.
everything stems from.
Mm-hmm.
What, Jerry?
I think his name is Michael Henderson. He wrote the story about the New Zealand America's Cup and how that team had never won. And the coach got together and said, okay, here's how we're going to do this, right? Everything centers around one question. Does it make the boat go faster? You want to meet your friends for a pint after work. Does that make the boat go faster? No. Then why would you do that? They went on to win the cup. They won the race. I think they won it for multiple years. But the question was, does it make the boat go faster? And when a business owner applies that to what they're doing in everyday
Yeah,
life,
beautiful.
does this make the boat go faster? In the terms of whatever widget or service it is that you're building or doing, will whatever I'm about to go do, hey, I'm going to go make a call right now. Will that make my boat go faster? Then
Mm-hmm.
why are you doing it? Or get on the call now, right?
Or
And
some people push paper around and they think they're doing something.
they
Right.
look busy. They're professional busy bees, but they don't get anything accomplished because they move the paper from this side of the desk to this side of the desk and then back here and back here several times a day and go, oh my God, I worked so hard today.
Right. Getting ready to get ready.
Did it make the phone ring? Did you bring $1 in the house?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
we saw a sign, Mariah. We saw a sign. We were driving back from an appointment we had earlier today, and my wife saw the sign and she said, "That sign is so hard to read." And I said,
Mm,
"Yes. Remember, designers, graphic designers, make things pretty so that they will win an award. As a small business owner, you have to make something functional so you can win a customer."
yeah. I interviewed Alex Mendosian in the podcast, and it was all on the barriers that we put in the way. It was so fascinating to hear all of the examples from a marketing perspective of
Yep.
barriers of entry. And
Remove the friction. Remove the
remove the
friction from doing
friction.
business with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it also makes me, I think, where I go in self reflection is I think there was a chapter in my business growth where my focus I think, I'm curious what you guys, if you have an opinion on this, but I think my focus became too much on the money
Mm.
and the decisions around, is this making the boat going faster? Meaning, will it create more income flow and profit? And I think if I look back, I lost sight a little bit on, is it going to actually create the impact that I'm actually longing for it to create? And so there's this balance. I want to believe. I'm curious if you guys have thoughts on this, where I could make some decisions that might make income flow come faster, But if it degrades what I think is in the best interest of the clients that are coming in and the impact that's actually created, then for me, I'm still going to say no, I think.
That's a really, really good question. And so I'm gonna kind of put this ball, I'm gonna change it like a Rubik's Cube and pass it back to you. What if the core purpose of your business did something that also made the boat go faster? And I'll give you an example. In our automotive business, the core purpose of of the business is not about the car. It's not about the truck. It's not about
No.
the team. It's about keeping people safe.
Mm,
And the more people we can keep safe on the road, so your car doesn't break down at the side of the road, there's no mother or father that's ever going to put their child in a broken car or a
mhm.
car that's unsafe. So what if both of them are both point when they're both pointed in the same direction? That's when you know you have a true long-lasting business that you can hire and then have freedom to be able to really grow it and see it as its own entity and not as your identity.
So good. So good. I love it. I'm aware of time and I want to make sure that we have time to talk about that big sign that's behind Jerry's head, the mastermind. Can the two of you talk a little bit
It
about
doesn't
what is
say
the
kick here.
mastermind?
We're good.
Well, there's a big phone number. What is the mastermind? Who is an individual that would enroll in the mastermind? What is it that they will experience in the midst of the mastermind?
Do you want me to jump in, Jerry, or you want to?
I think it would look like he was handing it to you, Laura.
Okay, all right.
Or
There's the mastermind has evolved over the last 10 years. Geez, it's been 10 years. At first, it was entrepreneurs that were just getting started and just needed some guidance in their spring, in their just getting started phase. And now we are in the mastermind in the phase of people have had their business for several years. They have employees, they have a number of employees. They don't have to be at their business all the time. They're there from time to time, or they're there just because what else would they do, you know? But they don't have to be there. They're earning a good income. They have additional income for investing. They're starting to look at, okay, and I'm going to use this term. It's like a prince on a horse looks up at the castle and says, "You know what? I want a castle." And so their business is their horse, and they're thinking, how do I take this horse and how do I create a castle so that I don't have to work, so that I can be with who I want, when I want, doing what I want, and have the financial freedom, time freedom, relationship freedom to do these things. So they are going from business owner to business investor while still keeping an eye on their family, their community, their they know that there are really big things ahead of them, and it's more than just their business at this stage. Jerry,
Mhm.
would you say that's accurate, or what else would you like to add?
No, I think you're spot on with where our mastermind is today. We also do a lot of one-on-one coaching with people, um, just because not everyone is able to actually be in the mastermind for a number of reasons. We're quite particular with who we take in. We want to make sure that the synergy is there. Um, a lot of the one-on-one coaching has also been they've had their business for a while and they know they're missing one or two pieces
Yeah.
and they just need an outside view that they can trust to get them set up properly. Uh, one of my favorite clients that we had on the one-on-one, I almost said their name, can't do that. But they started off, they said, we're doing $8,000 a month. And, and then we were in it for about 4 months. They go, I just don't see that we're getting anywhere. And I said, well, let's just go back to, because we keep notes on everything, right? And so I said, when you started 4 months ago, what were your top line sales? $8,000. I said, then how many employees did you have? Zero. Okay, so what were you doing? He goes, I was doing everything. Okay, cool. And now where are you at? He said, well, I'm at $36,000. Oh, nice. Okay. And how many employees? Well, I have 4 employees. Beautiful. And what is it you do? Well, I see clients twice a week, and the rest of the time I'm working on the business. And you don't see growth there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just didn't realize how far we've come in such a short amount of time. Yeah, I know. It happens so quickly, right?
And
I mean,
so,
when you find, like, I cheat. I have 4 eyes. I cheat. And when you get extra eyes on things, it's a very beautiful system to get worked out. And that's really what we do for folks. We help them clear all their hurdles. A coach can tell you what to do. A mentor will tell you what not to do. Avoid the mistakes I've made because I've got all the scars. You don't need those, right? Let's help you launch quickly. Get
Mm-hmm.
out of where you're at to where you want to be as expediently as possible. And that's for me, I look at it like what my job is to get you first of all, find where your pain points are and then get you out of that pain as quickly as possible. Hopefully in the first 4 to 6 weeks, get you completely out of that pain. And
and
and I don't know what your pain is, so we have to figure that out. And then, oh, I need more customers. Okay. That's usually the last thing you need. And I'll tell you I thought at one time I needed more customers. And so we created this ad that was amazing, had the most amazing response. So we got dialed in on the advertising portion of it, and we sent it out to the market. And Maraya, we were inundated. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there were customers standing there. It was crazy. And the advertising made promises that our business could not keep.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a fascinating experience having a very successful marketing campaign that almost caused my company to close because, I mean, I had grandmothers standing at the counter cursing at us because we could not keep the commitment that our marketing promised, right?
Fascinating.
So we
Mm-hmm.
literally stopped all the marketing, and this is where we went in and figured out what we needed to do, and we fixed the business. So the next time we ran similar marketing, we didn't, in the first case, what we did is we ticked off a lot of clients that will never come back. And so then what we did is we did the marketing again, and we were able to uh, keep the commitments that the marketing promised. And our business has never been the same since, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, again, in my mind, like every other small business owner, we need more customers. Let's see where you're at before we give you more. Opening the faucets for customers is easy. You got to make sure you have everything in place for when those customers come in so you don't actually destroy the business because
Yeah.
of poor widget making. Does that make
Uh-huh.
sense?
Absolutely. And Laura, you were going to say something.
yeah, so just I was thinking, in the interest of time, how do we sum up? Because you said, what can people expect from the mastermind? And at, I don't want to make it too short because then it might not have the significance. But the truth of it is what you can expect from the mastermind is the life of your dreams. You
Mm.
get clarity on what it is that will create the life that you dream of. And it's like so simple and so short that it's like, oh yeah, everybody says that, but that's actually been the result of all of the people that join us.
Hmm. And, I think there are masterminds out there that are very focused on tactic and skill building and coaching and hand holding. And I'm also part of mastermind that it's really just networking and
Mhm.
relationship building. And I feel like the word mastermind has been diluted a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely.
So,
Our our
how do you
group,
define it?
yeah. Yeah, our group um is really about developing the person in the group. Because, like, for example, you might have heard the story of the woman who inherited like $4 million. And she went up to Warren Buffett and said, where should I invest this? And he looked at her and he said, what you need to do is you need to create something that provides $4 million for you. And she said, why would I do that? I already have 4 million. He said, it's not for the money. It's for the person you have to become to be able to create that amount of money.
Gave me
And
chills.
that is what our group does. And in the mastermind setting, it can be intense. You get to know each other. We get to just, it's such a close-knit group. I also want to say that for some reason, mostly men gravitate towards us. That's kind of been our history. Um, because I think men go through different phases in life. I think the idea of, hey, you know what, I'm going to be the king of my castle resonates a little bit more with men than women. I don't know. Maybe reach out to me if you disagree or if you do agree. Um, but that's what it is. It's like, you know what, that big dream you have, that big, hairy, audacious goal that speaks more to life, not just you. It's like, who do you need to become to have that? That's what
Mhm.
this group is about.
Exactly. And I want to dovetail onto that because I think everybody knows somebody that did well and then went broke or lost it all, right? And that happens. That's actually a natural phenomenon. As our friend T. Harv Eker says, their financial thermostat was not adjusted to the amount of money that they had. Okay.
Welcome to
And
upper limiting.
and we know for sure that just because someone earns a lot of money, like you can get lucky and make it, you can't get lucky and keep it. Okay. You have to become that person. Who you become determines what happens with your life, with your income, with your business. You cannot just leave it to chance and, oh, I took this business course, I got an MBA, right? And now I'm going to become, a very successful business owner. Let me know how that works out because the most of the time there's a lot more to it than that. And we want to be the people that help you get to the not more a lot more to
Yeah,
it than that,
I love it.
right?
I mean, don't they say the majority of people that win the lottery go bankrupt within a few years? I
Oh
mean, it's
yeah.
just,
98%.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's one more thing
98%.
that I'd like to say about our business builder group, and that's when somebody looks at our group, commonly what might stop them is that they don't feel worthy to be in the group.
Mm,
They don't feel like, well, my business is not doing 10 million yet. When it's doing 10 million, then I'll join the group. But it's like, you know what? That's fine. Your business doesn't even have to be doing 1 million. Um, I only have 3 employees. I don't have 50 employees. You know what? This is not having a comparison between company and company. It's about you with you. It's if you have debt, if you have an affair, everybody has some kind of skeleton in their closet. If you spend more money that you bring in, there are times when there's a getting back into integrity with yourself, getting in alignment with yourself. But that doesn't mean that you can't be a part of an amazing group and get yourself where you do need to be.
hmm hmm I love it. And I appreciate both of you. It's been fun a few conversations that we've had, but particularly today. I love when you filled out the form, Laura. I don't know if you remember. One of the questions you said for me to ask you is, tell our listeners something funny. So can can we wrap this up with can you tell our listeners something funny? And then I do need to go because I have another call coming
Oh
up
my
in just a
goodness.
few
I
minutes.
think Jerry's better equipped at that than I am. There are so many funny things that he started off with, you know what? It's keep it fun, keep it fun, keep it light.
Yeah.
Don't take yourself seriously. That's
Mhm.
I something funny doesn't come to me right now. It's just really about, you know what? It just keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep it light. Be fun. Jerry's laughing.
That's what I remember about the two of you when we were at Wizard Academy down in the kitchen at the
Yeah.
tables. Just this bright light, genuine smiles, and a whole lot of fun. I mean, both of you exude it. You've followed your passion in so many different twists and turns and directions. And it does seem to me that you follow your fun on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
We have to. You know, we work hard and we play hard. We still travel. We do a lot of travel. We it's really crazy. We have to keep it fun. We have to keep it light. Otherwise, you know what? I mean, honestly,
Why
what's the
bother?
point?
Yeah.
What's the
Why bother?
point? Why would you look, running a business is hard. Don't let anybody blow smoke anywhere. I promise you, running a business is hard and running it properly at the beginning is much harder. Truly. But once you get it there, holy crumb, man, that's when the fun really kicks off. How
Yeah.
fun is it? You go in and your guys tell you, my team tells me every day how they're building the business for us.
They are having so much fun.
How does life get better than that?
That's
We're
awesome.
in the office literally 2 days a week. The rest of the time, we're either traveling or we're at the ranch. And our team is running, we're having record weeks, record months, record quarters, and they're just throwing, there's money going into the bank. And we get to do things with it. We get to help charities. We're going this weekend. We're judges for one of the local towns near the ranch. They have a big event that's going on, and we're judges. And you know what? At the end of the event last year, it was their first year. Laura and I donated a ton of cash. I mean, the woman,
Equal
when we told her how much money,
more than what they raised. They were
well,
so excited about how much they raised, and we said,
when
yeah, you know what? Let's match that.
let's match it and then beat it by 500. The woman cried on the phone,
Aw.
And you
right?
know what kind of talk about impact, the impact for all of the people that money will benefit. It's like, wow,
I
that's what you
love
want
it.
to do with life.
That's the fun part, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, people go, well, Jared, why are you still working? You should be retired. No, it's for impact. How many lives am I going to impact by continually doing what we're doing? Could I retire? Of course I could, years ago. And then what? Decay? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in making a positive impact on this world. Someone asked me in 1984, I remember the question distinctly, how will the world be different because you were here? All those years ago, I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
Today, I have a clue. My world is a lot different because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll challenge that to everyone else out there too. How will your world be different because you were here?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm grateful to know the two of you and look forward to the next time we're together in person.
I
And I
love that.
appreciate your
Yes.
time. For
Thank
those
you
that
for
are listening, sorry, wait 1 second. For those that are listening, I also want to say I appreciate your time.
yes.
We all live very productive lives and we have choices. And if you have been here present with this conversation and you're here, I just want to say out loud that I see you and I honor you and I acknowledge this time that you just invested and we've all shared together. Jerry, what were you going to say?
It's been great. I look
Yeah.
forward to doing it again.
Let's go. All right. Ciao, ciao, everybody.
Thank you.